Now the 419 with Gretchen DeBacker, Matt Killam, and Kevin Mullen.
Welcome into the 419, powered by WGTE and presented by Witro Wealth Management. I'm Kevin Mullen.
Gretchen DeBacker.
Matt Killam.
We almost matched today. For the folks on TV, Matt and I rock a little bit of the maroon.
Yeah.
And then Gretchen just does what she wants.
I do. Yep. You guys put it in the spreadsheet that today was pink, but you didn't read it.
Wait. The spreadsheet has.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
I was going to say, this I got to get. I really let the team down here.
Yeah.
I got an exciting show today. It's Wellness Wednesday, presented by WorkSpring.
Yes.
And we're talking sleep.
Yes.
Which is, it's such, and like that was always, like when I get busy, that's the first thing I get rid of. Like people ask me like, because I have a lot of different jobs. They're like, Kevin, is there anything you don't do? And my default answer is, yeah, sleep.
Sure.
Like that's the thing I don't do.
That's what they used to torture people, Kevin.
Work.
Well, now
Deprive them
now we do
of
this
sleep.
show. Yeah. I will tell you that I have terrible sleeping habits, so I'm interested in talking about this. And it's the first thing, if I'm stressed out, I will prolong when I'm going to sleep to prolong the next day. So I'm sure that is not what we're supposed to do.
No.
Yeah, it's. I mean, have you had it where like, alarm goes off, you on the weekend, right? Alarm goes off, you turn it off, you're like, I'm just gonna get some more sleep, and you wake up and it's worse.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Like I don't know why that is.
And then you should go back to sleep again.
Then I start drinking.
You start drinking, just go right into it.
That's right.
I like it. All right, so we're gonna have Melanie Apple from WorkSpring, a senior wellness consultant, is gonna join us. We'll talk a little bit about sleep, and then we're gonna have Dr. Michael Brown from DMB Coaching. We'll come in and talk a little bit about kind of all things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, wellness. There's a lot that we can tackle with him.
We need coaching for sure.
And then I'm really excited as we sort of veer a little bit into a different topic, invite somebody on that's making a real difference in our community. We're going to have the folks from 211, United Way's 211 call center will come on. And I'm really, I am such a big fan of the folks that work at 211.
Agreed.
And they are incredibly talented. I haven't had the chance to sit in on a number of calls, but I used to work at United Way.
I didn't know that.
And you get a chance to hear somebody calls and says, hey, I've got this challenge. And what they are best at is asking like the second or third question.
Yep.
Sure.
And so it's not about solving that problem that's in front of you, but it's like, let's talk about how you got there.
Yeah.
And what services in the community we can connect you with. So I'm excited about it. Of course, a lot of different opportunities for folks to catch any part of this program. 7 a.m. we're on YouTube, 3 p.m. we're on FM 91, and 6 p.m. we're on WGTE Connects channel 30.4. I'm trying to track the cameras here. We'll get it eventually. Let's come back to the middle. And of course, if you're on the radio, that means nothing to you.
It means nothing.
Of course, the WGTE app.
The app is amazing.
It's fantastic. And you can also email the show. Only compliments.
That's right.
Complaints go straight to the junk. But 419@WGTE.org. Of course, the website, WGTE.org/the419. All right, when we come back, we kick off our Wellness Wednesday presented by WorkSpring with senior wellness consultant Melanie Apple. We'll be right back on the 419.
Support for the 419 comes from Witro Wealth Management, where we understand that your financial path is personal. Advisory services are offered through Capital Investment Advisory Services, LLC. Securities offered through Capital Investment Group, Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. More information at WitroAdvisors.com.
The 419, powered by WGTE, is made possible in part by supporters like you. Thank you.
Introducing The Local Thread, a community news series uniting voices and storytellers from across the region. In partnership with La Prensa, the Toledo Free Press, the Sojourner's Truth, Toledo Public Schools, and Rethinking Jails and Justice. The Local Thread brings you stories and conversations that connect our community. Hear it weeknights at 7 on FM 91 with early access on podcast platforms each morning. The Local Thread, only on WGTE.
Welcome back into the 419. It's Wellness Wednesday, presented by WorkSpring. I don't know what just happened to my voice there.
Wellness Wednesday.
You know.
Yeah, you get excited for
excited.
wellness.
Puberty is a thing.
Yeah, that's right. Second time is the
late
charm.
onset puberty here on the 419. We got Melanie Apple, senior wellness consultant, We are the picture of
Health.
well.
Yeah.
But tell
If you
me
had
what.
to guess what's wrong with this.
Yeah, that's right. This is mainly a therapy session. Wow.
Right.
She just looked at her watch like,
said,
how
"How
much
much
time? I love it. How long have you been at WorkSpring?
I've been at WorkSpring 4.5 years.
Okay. All right. So 1 Olympic cycle.
Yes.
Yes, that's how I judge time.
That's how I measure most things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of saying how old your kids are in months, Matt does
12
it in
Olympics.
Olympics.
Yeah, that's right. There are Olympics and a Winter Olympics.
Yeah,
So.
that's right. Perfect. What exactly does senior wellness consultant mean?
It just means that I still do the same thing as anybody else. I have different clients. I'm in the Cincinnati-Dayton area, so I work with clients down there. But I just go around to the different groups and just help them with their wellness program, trying to get them educated, seeing where their issues are, where they need help, and offering them the advice that I can give them to help them to be a better, healthier culture.
If you had to judge who was least healthy, Cincinnati or Toledo, who would it be? Just look right into that camera.
I'd say it's even. We'll just go even.
So
Yeah.
you are somewhat bi-coastal if you consider, the Ohio River and the Maumee
There you
River,
go,
the
yeah.
coast, which I do.
You do?
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
pretty exciting.
I've never thought
So
of
do
it
you
like
live
that.
here in Toledo and then
No,
Tell-
I
tell-
live down the Cincinnati-Dayton area.
Okay.
So
You drove all the way up just for us?
I did.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
my goodness.
What we're talking sleep, and obviously, if you're coming up from Cincinnati, you didn't do a whole lot of that to get up here. But what's the right answer when it comes to sleep? Like, how much
question.
should someone get?
First, it's fundamental. Like we need it. I mean,
Yeah.
we that is the first thing we skimp on when we're running short on things, stressed.
100%.
But you need to try to get that 7 to 9 hours as an adult. I mean, it's
I'm sorry, it sounded like you said 7 to 9.
I did. Yeah.
Okay. How about that?
Yeah.
This
If
is,
you
glorious.
can.
yeah,
I mean, that is tough.
It is.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, so I think about like with so before we did this show,
yeah.
our normal routine as a family was we put the kids to sleep. My wife and I would go watch a show, like so that we've got like some time during the day where it's just us, and then go to bed.
Yeah.
But I feel like we violated almost 9 of the 10 rules around sleep, where it's like, great, let's do technology and screens right before we go to bed. Let's
Yeah.
delay sleep. So that, I mean, I don't know that.
I know
I
that
don't remember the last time I got 7 to 9
Yeah.
on a regular
Plus, I
basis.
know everyone knows this are probably the staples of getting good sleep. So, but I do want to walk through them with you. But is effort just infuriating to be somebody that has real working knowledge, and then there's this epiphany from some celebrity that's like, hey, you need to eat and get exercise and sleep, and people are like, we should do that. And you're like, yes,
good
you
idea.
morons.
Yeah.
That's what I've been saying. Just because LeBron James said it, right, doesn't mean it's now made true. But talk the clinical approach or the planning of sleep. What should that look like? What does it need to look like? If the reality is you're only going to get 5 hours, is
Yeah.
it the kind of sleep you get?
Exactly. I mean, honestly, the quantity matters, but the quality of that sleep matters probably even more. I mean, just because you want to make sure that when you are asleep, if you are getting that 5 hours, that is that quality, that you're making sure that you're doing all those wind down activities in the evening, staying off the screens, maybe trying to figure out what works best for you, taking a nice bath, doing some journaling, something that's not going to get you up and riled up. So not doing work before you go to bed, not watching those films that are really intense, but just doing something calming and soothing so that when you do go to sleep, if you are just getting 5, it's going to be good quality 5 hours of sleep.
This is probably also intuitive, but what are the signs that you're not doing this? And I know this did still sound obvious, but if you don't mind, just the list of.
Yeah, no, and it's things that we already know. You're a little bit more snippy with people, a little bit more agitated. You're not thinking real clearly. You can't really put your thoughts together. Just things like that. Like you're going through the day, obviously, you're tired. You get in those phases. You can't focus on your work. Your work probably suffers a little bit. Just kind of those common things that can really start to affect your everyday ability to function and to be a nice person.
When do you
You should
decide
listen
that
to
like
hear the last I trail
yeah,
off to be a nice person.
I did.
version.
I did.
Yeah, that's clearly
Choosing
something.
to ignore it.
Yeah, right.
These are just suggestions.
What are people of different ages have different particular issues with sleep. As you get older, women especially have hormonal issues that you can do the calming thing, you can do the journal, you can drink a nice cup of tea, but it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
So how long should you be trying? Is there an effort that you should just, or a decision that you should make that you should just get up and?
Yeah.
Is also that true for relationships? No, I'm just kidding.
That's a different Wellness Wednesday topic.
I love how quickly she was like, another senior wellness consultant.
That's next Wednesday.
I can refer you to a therapist.
Right. I'm sorry, what was the question again?
About how long you should attempt to stay in bed and actually try to sleep.
To stay in bed, I mean, honestly, if you're laying there for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and you're just not going to sleep, the TV's off, you've tried the journaling, you've tried everything, it's best just to kind of get up, because kind of sleep, like everything else, you can't force it. You want to be able to just kind of lay down, lay on your pillow, and fall asleep. If you're trying to sit there and close your eyes and force yourself into sleep, it's not going to happen. So give yourself a good 20, 30 minutes of trying it, and then get up. And you don't want to go turn the TV on and watch some big show or get into something real active. But
so you don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that. You want to kind of go back into those calming things that you were doing before, just something to try to calm you down.
Who do you go to figure out if it's actually something medical, snoring, sleep apnea, hormonal or something like that? Do you talk to your GP about that?
Yeah, I would just go there. And honestly, I mean, I'm not a doctor myself, but yeah, I would definitely start with your general practitioner. And with that, even as far as like your timing, if you've tried this for maybe 3 to 4 weeks, if you're still just having issues going to sleep, getting good quality sleep, then definitely give your doctor a call, because there could be something else involved, something going on with your body that, to your point, none of that stuff's going to work, and that maybe you do need something additional.
I'm just thinking, like, I'm still stuck on like the list of things that you're not supposed to do before you go to sleep, 100%. And like when I get busy, those are all the things that are cutting into my sleep time. And so the thought of me like, hey, I got a bunch of work to get caught up on, and so I'm going to stay up late and do it, and then I'm going to take time to wind down, and like that's just not happening.
I'm also curious to add on to Kevin's, like if you're hyperactive or you have a really active mind, not a high functioning one, but active, sometimes those screens and other things can be a distraction that helps you to sleep. Obviously, that's not a clinical thing that people should listen to, but what are the hacks that would be helpful in that way? Meaning like an app that you listen to, or white noise?
Yeah, absolutely. You have white noise, the boxes, fans. Some people like the fans.
Yeah.
Just something that's calming to you. At the end of the day, everybody's individuals.
My dad's really, really Caucasian. Just record him talking.
That's perfect. It would just monotone.
Yeah, that's right.
You
That's not the
white noise as it gets. Yeah.
And just,
could I sell that?
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, let's monetize it.
That's right.
It's just him
Dad,
talking.
talk to me about World War II. Yeah. Please keep.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to kind of figure out what works for you, just like with any type of wellness activity. You just kind of figure out, is it the white noise? Is it a fan? What's working for you? And also knowing what's not working too.
Yeah, that's a great
being
point.
aware, cutting out those items, like even caffeine. If you're a big caffeine, trying to cut that out in the evening so that that's not affecting you. Heavy exercise, things like that.
No problem there. Yeah, nailed that.
What about food? Like how long before
Yeah.
you go to sleep, right? I know it's 30 minutes before you can get in a pool after you've eaten. What's the answer on sleep?
Don't sleep in the pool.
okay.
Yeah, that's an important.
Although it may be calming, right?
Yeah, it
That's
would.
right. Sure. Yeah.
Definitely watching your food, heavy meals. You definitely want to do that, I would say, and again, maybe 2 hours before, staying away from the spicy foods, alcohol. We like to think that calms us and will put us to sleep, and it kind of will put you to sleep, but you're not going to be in that good REM sleep. You're not going to be getting the good quality sleep. So you are going to be, quote unquote, asleep, but it won't be good quality.
It's also complex sugar, which is not a great additive.
It's not a great either.
Yeah,
so it's best to avoid those heavy meals and alcohol.
Sure.
Talk to me about, you mentioned REM sleep. Like what is that? What is that? Like, is it a fixed amount of, like the cycle, is that a fixed amount of time for everybody, or what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's that deep sleep that you get into, and that's when your body's kind of pressing that reset button. So you're kind of resetting everything for the next day. You're getting that good sleep where your body's just really kind of getting rejuvenated for the next day.
How do you? Oh, go.
I have a question about sort of resetting. I mean, your body is complex. It is also to some degree simple. So if you get 5 hours one day, well, you can't make up for it the next day. is there a way to think about sort of recharging your battery? So if you've had a stressful week, I should be more, I don't know, docile, or is reverse true, or is all of this a matter of planning and having a sort of a rote?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's planning. It's kind of figuring out what works for you. Just making sure that you're kind of setting that time. Like you kind of mentioned, you can't really bank in the sleep. Basically, you
Right.
can't get it, because actually what you should be doing is kind of setting that schedule to where it's the same every day. So if you get up early during the week, you know, it's not appealing, and I'm not saying everybody does it, but you know, it's better if you can get up at 5 a.m. every day, as opposed to 5 a.m. Monday through Friday, and then I'm going to sleep until 8 on the weekend. It's better that you kind of keep that schedule.
See?
Well,
Told ya.
crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ruined everybody's day.
That's all right.
But I think it's a good reminder, because I think in my head it's like, oh, I haven't gotten, you know, I've had a bunch of days during the week where I haven't gotten enough sleep. I'm going to make up for it on the weekends. But you're saying that doesn't actually
That's
happen.
my question, right?
Yeah.
It's not like we'll just throw some more money into the bank.
That's right.
It
Yeah,
doesn't
it doesn't
function
really
like that.
work that way.
Other than just how you're feeling, but it's difficult sometimes to pinpoint what's causing the way you feel. How can you scientifically show, or is there anything you recommend to people that work Spring to show what their sleep is? Is there an app, those Aura
Yeah.
rings,
Great question.
a sleep study?
Yeah.
Like, what can you do to make sure that that's the thing
Right.
that's causing you other problems during the day?
I would say on your own, just for you to go home. You know, using like the fitness trackers is a great way, or just to kind of get a snapshot, an idea of what's going on, so you can kind of see, because those do track how much deep sleep you're in and everything, and then you could take that to your doctor.
Do you
and
know how
that's
they
for
function? That seems so strange to me that this
I
is,
honestly, I'm sorry, I do
that's
not.
okay.
You
Just
got
make it
me
up.
there.
That's what we do. Yeah.
That's what you-
I have found them hard to swallow.
That's not what they're for. Yeah.
That's probably why it's not working.
What responsibility does an employer have in getting involved in somebody's
Yeah.
sleep schedule?
I mean, as far as just responsibility, it's just educating their employees, making sure that they are well aware of what they should be doing before bed, prep for it. If they are having issues, who they can reach out to for help. So more or less, it's just kind of educating their employees and making sure they have the knowledge, making sure they're well aware of their resources that's available to them.
Certainly, you guys work with all types of employers, including manufacturing employees that have different shifts.
Different shifts,
And
yeah.
those later shifts, to me, just seem like torture as it relates
Yeah,
to sleep.
yeah.
What are there different recommendations or considerations that those companies have for people that are working those late
That's a good
shifts?
question.
Yeah, I don't know exactly about the companies, but as far as the individuals, it's kind of the same as a first shift worker. But you got to figure it out for those shift workers. They have to be able to, because obviously they're not going to sleep all during the day, and then obviously they're awake at night. But
Well,
just
usually
trying to figure out
everyone else in
what's-
their life is
everybody
awake during
is-
the day.
Yeah.
So when
So
if
it's
you
not
go home and you have
practical.
kids, you have to start their day even though you've just been up working all night.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just kind of figuring out what works for them and getting on that cycle. So, you know, again, like anytime you start something new, it usually takes a few weeks to kind of get it established, that 4 to 6 weeks. So getting them established on that sleep routine that works best for them. Taking, you know, just not huge naps during the day, but like the 20-minute kind of power naps to kind of get them through. And
Is
so
that 20-minute power nap, is that truly a rite of passage? Kevin mentioned it jokingly, but we did live, I'm 47, I probably lived 40 years thinking that if I ate, I would immediately cramp up and die while swimming, if not giving me the 30 minutes. So is the 20-minute, is that truly accurate?
I don't know if I'd say it was truly good.
Yeah, the nap debate is a real one.
Yeah.
The
because-
raging nap debate.
Because when you get up so early in the morning, you know, 4 o'clock, I've said to these guys several times, I could literally go home from work and just go up and go to bed. But you know then you're going to be up at 1 a.m. So then you
And
think,
she puts
okay.
no energy in this show. I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense.
No, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
You're marginally conscious now.
That's true.
Are you a napper?
But that's sort of what I'm saying. Like you know, at that 4 o'clock time, well, let me just sit down here on the couch.
Yeah.
And then you nap, but then it's, I don't know, I can't.
Are you a napper?
I don't think it works.
There was a stretch there where I was, where I would like basically get up, start the day with the kids, try and get some things done. Like I was working from home quite a bit, so it was like, all right, maybe I'll take a nap. But no, not
How about
really.
you?
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean,
To some degree, it's impractical. I mean,
Yeah.
if I'm napping, something's amok. either
Yeah.
I'm not well, I'm about to
Yeah.
not be well, or
I
something.
mean, there's like a
that's-
nap on the couch, but you're not going to like get into bed.
No.
But we
Yeah.
talk about
Not
like
doing
that banking, right? So like I can't, like if I didn't get enough sleep, 2 days ago, I can't sleep more today. Does napping work toward like within that cycle, right? So I did not get
Yeah.
my 5 hours, but I'm gonna take a 45-minute nap in the middle of the day. Does that?
I'm ahead.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a legitimate question.
It's a jump start on the next
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd say it's banking it, but it is definitely kind of, obviously our bodies tell us when we need sleep. And if they're
Yeah.
telling it that you need sleep, if you've gone through a stressful time, whatever situation, then maybe your body does need to kind of sit down, relax for a little bit, take a 45-minute nap. And obviously everybody's individual, so there's no harm in that at all.
We're talking with Melanie Apple, a senior wellness consultant with WorkSpring. Let's put a bow on this one, right? We're talking about sleep. What is the number one sign that somebody is not getting enough sleep?
I would say behaviorally, like how they are acting, how they are not functioning in day-to-day life. Maybe even if it's with people, with their job, if things are just starting to decline and they are just not up to par as what they were doing maybe in the past.
Well, I don't think Gretchen's ever gotten enough sleep then.
Nope.
All right, Melanie, thank you so much. We
welcome.
appreciate the
Thanks so much.
time.
Thank you. Thank
When we come back, we'll be joined by Dr. Michael Brown from DMB Coaching. We'll talk about emotional intelligence and we'll get his sleep schedule. I got to believe he's doing it right. Just
Probably.
based on our early morning interactions, I'm sure he's got it down to a science. We'll be right back on the 419.
To me, community means connecting to others.
I'm Donnie Miller, and welcome to The Point.
I love CBS Kids!
We're a community committed to education. Discover new ideas, dive into exciting subjects, and engage with the world around you.
I would send them personally a t-shirt. Crime doesn't pay in the old West End, pass it on. That's how we cleaned up the neighborhood.
Vision loss for people is not the end.
It's a story, it's the next chapter.
WGTE Public Media invites you to Get Out and Play Day.
Monday through Friday, it's the 419 powered by WGTE. With Matt Killam, Gretchen DeBacker, I'm Kevin Mullen. What can people expect on the show?
It's going to be an hour, a reminder of why this is a great place to live, work, and play.
WGTE, where you come to watch, listen, and learn.
Welcome back into the 419. It's a Wellness Wednesday presented by WorkSpring. We're joined now by Dr. Michael Brown from DMB Coaching. Doctor, thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be with you. You can call me Michael, please.
All right, Michael, what is DMB Coaching?
We are a consulting company. We do a lot of coaching, consulting, curriculum writing. I do a lot of public speaking. So we tend to think in terms of the consulting for teams, coaching for individuals, curriculum development around a lot of different dimensions of life, and then also communication. The fourth C would be communication, public speaking, keynoting, and things of that nature.
How does one get to here? Talk to me a little about little Dr. Michael Brown. And your folks, or what makes your molecular composition something would lend themselves to this work?
Yeah, I think because just realizing that the only thing that matters the most in life is human connection. And so the more I can invest in people and in humans and relationships, it's what matters the most.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So we've been talking about sleep, but I'm curious, just you in your own, like 7 to 9 hours is the right number.
Sure.
How is Dr. Michael Brown doing in that area?
Well, great. So it's 8.5 hours every single night, 365 days a year. It was interesting. I was listening to Melanie as she was sharing, one of my favorite questions to ask people, particularly on a Monday morning, if I'm in line for a cup of coffee at one of the local Toledo area coffee shops, is to be able to say, so how are you doing today? A typical response is,
It's Monday.
I'm tired.
Oh,
Yeah.
They walked right into my trap.
Yeah.
Because then what I'm going to say is, as a life coach, I'm going to be empathetic and say, I'm really sorry about that, but I am curious, when did you choose to be tired?
Do people
Try that
not want to
question.
talk to you in line ever?
Well, because even when you ask someone, when did you choose to be tired? Most individuals look at you like, well, I didn't choose to be tired.
Sure.
Life is tiring.
Yeah.
That's why I'm tired today. But then I'll say, so I'm just curious, what time did you go to bed last night? And they'll kind of look at me and maybe say, 2 a.m. I said, well, there's no judgment here, but that's why you chose to be tired today. I mean, you were still scrolling at 11 p.m.
Sure.
You were Googling how tall is Jesus at midnight.
Yeah.
And then you're wondering why today, you know,
Yeah,
you're
right.
exhausted.
Yeah.
So I agree with Melanie. I think a regular sleeping cadence has been really, really good for me.
That choices piece is interesting, right?
Oh,
to say
it's
like that,
everything.
when did you choose? Like, I think it's, you know, you had mentioned as we're coming in, like, you believe a lot of choices play a role in a lot of kind of who we are and what we do.
Well, Kevin, what happens often is when things are not going well, we tend to think that there's these circumstances outside of us that we have no control over that are creating or contributing to the reality that I'm in today. I would say personally that probably 95% of the life that we're living today, we've chosen our way into. In fact, when someone hires me as their executive coach, whether it's a professional athlete or a C-suite person or someone in higher education, is I will oftentimes say at the top of a piece of paper, just write the challenge you're facing, the thing you want to change, the thing that you want to be different, put a line down the middle. On the left side of the column, write choices. On the right side of the column, write circumstances. And then go ahead and record for me over the next week. What do you think are choices you're making that are contributing to this particular issue? Maybe it's health and wellness. Maybe it's a relationship challenge. Maybe it's career advancement. And then on the right, all the circumstances that are completely outside of our control that are contributing to the situation I find myself in today. And what happens then is, you would imagine, a week later, I get that assignment back. The circumstance column is listed at so many points. In the choice column, there's 3 or 4. And then I have the unfortunate privilege to show how so many of the things you call circumstances are now in the choices that we've made.
I'm curious, and obviously this is a question that's old in time, and I'm by no means qualified to ask you, but I'm interested in dissecting the concept of choices. So this is, to some degree, an education or a lesson in accountability, right? But you carry a lot of freight with relationship management with people, right? So as you walk through and dissect the concept of a choice, how deep into that definition do you get?
I get really deep, and the reason is I think Aristotle said it best, that I am what I continually do.
You mean Jeff Aristotle, the guy that works at, what a guy.
He's very good.
I'm thinking farther back in time.
Oh, yeah,
farther back in time,
all
the famous
TCBYs.
philosopher.
Yeah.
But we are what we continually do. In fact, as we sit here today,
right.
I am 0% the accumulation of my intentions and 100% the accumulation of my decisions. And so I am what I continually do. And so every choice we make in life falls in one of 3 categories. Starting, stopping, sustaining. I call them the 3 S's of choices. So the decision to act or not act is the choice. So everything you do is either you start something, you stop something, or something that's going really well, you keep doing it. And I think that we tend to diminish the significance of choices. In fact, when people hire me or even spend time with me, they're like, can you help me change? I like to be a little provocative when they ask me that. And I'll say, well, here's the sad news. You can't change. But you can choose. So don't focus so much on changing, focus on choosing. And as you begin to stack those choices, you will begin to actually wake up one day and say, I've changed.
We're talking with Dr. Michael Brown from DMB Coaching. You talk about choices and start or don't start. And for me, I think about like somewhat like at work, the analysis paralysis of like, I've got all these things I need to do and I'm not sure which one to do first. How do I approach something like that?
Well, I think one of the great choices in that regard is, and I actually talk about this, I have a 3 Words podcast as my podcast, and one of our 3 Words episodes was called, with Casey, who's a former guest of yours, Design Your Day. I would even expand that slightly and say every Sunday, I like to spend 45 minutes designing my week. Instead of trying to prioritize my schedule, I'm scheduling my priorities and taking just 45 minutes and actually putting the big rocks in my schedule. I avoid the analysis paralysis and the Sunday scaries that happen to all of us. And here we go, I've not gotten everything I need to get done, and what's the week going to hold? Well, the week's going to hold what I choose to make it hold. I'm not a slave to my schedule. I get to decide. I get to choose how I spend the next few minutes. I get to decide.
I do that on Fridays, and I find it very helpful to look at the calendar for the next week and know. But I also find that if something else comes up, how quickly I change that, even though I had pre-decided that this is what I was going to do. Also, I think that most people know, I certainly know what I should be doing. I know what choices I should be making. I know what would help me in certain ways, work out, eat right, meal prep, all that kind of stuff. but then I feel like I have no discipline to actually do it. Then in the moment, you make the different choice. You make the different decision. So what do you at DMB do to stop that point? Because it's not about knowing. Everyone knows you should sleep and eat right and exercise and, you know what I mean? Make sure your car doesn't run out of gas and clean your house and all of that kind of stuff.
Just Jesus.
Wow, there's so much there that you just shared, Gretchen, because what you're talking now is the connection between choices and my mind and my emotions and my feelings.
Right.
But even when you use that phrase, something might come up. Well, I still get to choose when something comes up, do I allow that to enter into my space? So a distraction is 100% my choice. Someone knocks on my door, I can say, go away.
Yeah.
If the phone rings, I can choose not to answer it. I can actually put my phone in the drawer. I can turn off the sounds in the notifications on my email and actually do 25 minutes of deep work. But you're right, we know what we need to do. But oftentimes, I find with my clients and the folks that I spend time with, what we're lacking is a North Star. In fact, I'm putting together an entire curriculum right now around what it means to be unstuck, to get unstuck. And one of the most important things is perspective. If you have a clear North Star of who you want to be at 95 years old, it's easier to make choices today in light of that.
Speaking of notifications, there are physical notifications, or your gut tells you something. People say that all the time. At the risk of asking you a personal question,
of course,
as someone who's knowledgeable in this space to the nth degree and truly studies the mechanism of being, what is your tuning fork, and what should other people be conscious of? Is like, if your gut is telling you this, listen to it. Something comes up, you're about to make a choice, listen to what? Heart, head, combination of the two?
Yeah, I would say it's more about the head than the heart, because we shouldn't believe everything we think. And oftentimes our feelings aren't telling us the truth. The way I like to describe it is to think of our lives more like a train, particularly as I work with young people.
Did you mean train wreck?
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm going to get to, is that I want you to envision most everything we want and we use to make decisions, or we really think are essential ingredients to living the best life, are really in the caboose. Things like confidence, motivation, positive feelings, happiness. I mean, I could talk about happiness forever. Happiness should never be a pursuit. It's always a fruit of a life well lived. But in the engine of the train is 100% our choices. And then what happens is an overflow is some of these things that I just mentioned in the caboose. The problem is many of us are trying to drive the train with the caboose, which is why we're off the tracks. Thus, what you said, Gretchen, a train wreck.
So, as a species that lays claim to being so evolved, that's certainly up for debate. So the mechanism of making decisions for the immediate as opposed to the long run.
Ooh, I love this conversation.
Is there a hack for that? And I don't mean that to sound disingenuous, but I mean, you deal with things immediately, like I'm going to do this because it feels good, or I'm not going to do it because it feels bad. You know, what is?
Well, when I launched 3 Words Podcast, I think we've dropped 230, 235 episodes. Thank you.
That's wonderful.
I knew that the first episode must be the most important thing I would ever say.
Yeah.
The first 3 words.
We should have done that.
The first 3 words need to be, because I knew I was going to launch this podcast, 3 Words Podcast, short 15-minute conversations, always 3 words. I said, well, what are the most important 3 words? And someone actually asked me that once. They said, you say so many things about so many things, but if you could just say one thing, what would it be? You ready? Here we go.
Ready.
It is the ability to delay immediate gratification.
That's so big.
To be able to actually look at something that you want now in order to achieve something you want later that is far more positive, far more better, far more meaningful. That is the key. So I talk about the 12 dimensions of a person's life. So financial dimension, if you applied that particular principle there, imagine. To the recreational dimension, imagine if you made a choice on Friday night or Saturday night in light of who you want to become down. I mean, if you start making the physical dimension, obviously you're talking about sleep, nutrition, food, exercise. If you can actually say no to something in the present that actually will give you pleasure, but probably not joy and happiness, you literally have hacked. I mean, you have determined the life hack.
But then the joy and happiness is the pleasure. So it's like, right? That's what you're saying.
Well, but I would say pleasure is different than joy and happiness, because sometimes pleasure stings. In fact, if I can give a word to parents, I cringe when parents say to their kids, and I have 9 children of my own, and I've done
What'd
this.
you just say?
I have 9 children of my own, so that's maybe another
I thought you were
conversation.
25.
Oh,
Yeah.
now I'm feeling really great, Joe. You'd be very surprised how old I am.
When Tom Cruise bit your neck in
Well, part of that,
New
hopefully I'm
Orleans.
living out these principles.
Let's just talk about someone who's on here to talk about making good choices.
He
And
has
I think
9
I heard
kids
you
and
say
gets
9
8.5
kids.
hours of sleep a
Yeah.
night.
So wait,
We have
wait
four-
a second.
we have-
I didn't even connect those. You get enough sleep.
Well, at this point, I have 9 children, 5 grandchildren.
Oh my God.
But only 1 is left in the house. So we have 4 biological children, 5 that we've adopted out of foster care. And so we have a big family, huge family. We are quite, and when we travel, anyway.
Yeah.
But the reality is, I'm trying to practice what I preach. So
Right.
I will tell you, I feel better at 57 than I felt at 47. And I made it my goal to feel better at 67 than 57, which again, may not happen, but I get to decide what choices and what deposits I'm making into there. So back to what I was saying about parents.
Please.
So with parents is when they say, I just want my children to be happy.
Right.
I just want you to be happy. What they're hearing is, my parents want me just to experience pleasure.
Interesting.
Happiness is not a pursuit. It should be a fruit of a life well lived. That is, happiness is in the caboose.
Right.
And the choices that we're making in the engine of the train, on most days when we're making those amazing choices in the physical, emotional, spiritual, relational dimensions, those are only 4 of the 5 of my 12.
All I can think about is 9 kids. So I haven't heard a thing you said after that.
Do you truly believe, you must, but why do you believe that it's possible for someone who has gotten to the age of 50 thinking wrongly about motivation and choices can change, can make their lives different?
You know, one of my favorite populations is the 20-somethings. I work on a college campus. I love the college student. And one of the reasons that I do a lot of work with college students, and I've been in campuses all over the country, even in the last couple months, I've been on 3 different campuses. I love working with young people. And the reason is because they are drying cement. They've not yet dried, but they are drying. But the conversations I could have with them in those moments, they could shift the trajectory of their lives.
Sure.
But there's still changes that can be made. With a typical person who hires me as their coach between 45 and 55 years old, typically they've climbed the ladder of success only to realize the ladder might be leaned up against the wrong wall. We can do some significant work. There can be changes that are made. I'm not going to focus on the changes. I'm going to focus on the choices. However, it's going to feel like taking a jackhammer to the cement.
Sure.
It's going to require a lot more work, but for sure it's not too late.
Talk to me about, pardon me, Kevin, but when are you not Dr. Michael Brown? Meaning, are you able to hang this up, or is the pursuit 24/7, 365? Like, what is decompressing? What is sitting down?
Oh, yeah. Well, and again, I will spend 2 to 3 hours a day working out.
Okay.
I will sleep, like I said, 8.5 hours a night. I love a good Netflix series with my wife. I mean, there are deep, but also I want to make sure the things that here's even my definition of fun. We could have this another conversation, but my definition of fun is playful, positive, and purposeful activities that rejuvenate heart, mind, and spirit. So if I'm actually choosing activities that are draining me, oftentimes what we're calling unwinding, what we're calling is draining. We're actually, I'm feeling less alive.
Right.
You know, people ask me, why do I do the thing that I do? And maybe this is a good closing to what we're talking about here, but every single person I meet on the planet is living, but very few of them are alive. And the reason they're not alive is because they're not understanding the power of the next choice, the next moment. More can happen in a minute than in a month when we're intentional about it.
Well said.
Dr. Michael Brown from DMB Coaching. Michael, if people want more information on DMB, where can they find it?
DMBcoaching.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
We've got some choices to make.
Yes.
We'll be right back. We'll talk 211 on the other side of this break here on the 419.
Support for the 419 comes from Witro Wealth Management, where we understand that your financial path is personal. Advisory services are offered through Capital Investment Advisory Services, LLC. Securities offered through Capital Investment Group, Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. More information at WitroAdvisors.com.
Destination Toledo. Whether you're a local or a visitor, Destination Toledo invites you to explore the region and be a tourist in Toledo. Find events, dining, and things to do at visittoledo.org.
WorkSpring. HR issues and employee well-being go hand in hand. WorkSpring supports employers through compliance, training, and wellness because healthy workplaces don't happen by accidents. Learn more at workspring.org.
Toledo Refining Company, a subsidiary of PDF Energy. Toledo Refining Company is a supplier of fuels that keep our region moving. Located in Oregon, Ohio, the refinery processes crude oil into gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, and other petroleum products.
And TARDA, celebrating its 55th year of connecting Northwest Ohioans to their community. More information at tarda.com.
Welcome back into the 419. It's Wellness Wednesday, presented by WorkSpring. I'm so excited to welcome a couple friends onto the program.
Totally.
Our friends from 211. Please welcome Erin Tupper and Sandra DeSteno.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming so early.
Good job, Gretchen. That's what she brings to the show. She's great.
Welcome.
What, if folks are not familiar with 211, Sandra, what is 211?
211 is a place that you can connect to find out what you're in need of. We connect people to food pantries, to homeless shelters, to utility assistance, to volunteer opportunities. Right now we have financial opportunity centers doing VITA tax appointments. So lots of things that we can connect people to make sure that they're doing all the things that they need to do in their life.
211, I'm familiar with, so the threat is always starting too far down the tracks. So can you give us sort of the birth of 211, where the model came from, and sort of the why?
Sure. In the 70s, a lot of, they were called First Call for Help, started, and they were local lines where people could call and find out what programs and opportunities were available. That has just transformed over the years into databases and to phone lines that are more with the FCC, and we are able to provide this model across the country. Most of the United States is covered by a 211, and so if you're in Ohio, or if you're in California, or if you're in Arizona, you can call 211 and see what programs and resources are available in your area.
My favorite thing to say is 211 is a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week call center that helps connect people to social services. It works hand in hand with 988 and 911. 911 is for emergencies, 988 is for suicide prevention, and 211 covers everything else.
If you are a person that is a service provider,
yes,
should you be reaching out to 211 to make sure that the United Way has your information as well?
Yes. Our entire database is on our website at 211nwo.org. So they can go on there, they can take a look at their entire listing, and there's a place for service providers to reach right out to us if any of that is incorrect.
Erin, you and I have had interactions, kind of know each other through a couple of different roles. When you got to United Way, what was the first thing that, I mean, because obviously you knew about 211 before you got there, but when you got inside and actually saw, you know, how the sauce is made, what was the first thing that kind of the aha moment on 211?
I had worked so much with 211 when I was at the city before, so I knew, I went in knowing what I wanted to do, and that 211 and advocacy for 211 is important. But just making sure that people understand, because we don't always, there had been a period of time where 211 wasn't super well known. It had gone to Cleveland and then came back, and we were really trying to make sure that people understood how important 211 being in Toledo and having this great service. So just getting the word out there, coming on shows like this and making sure people know that 211 is available. But also 211, we fundraise or get grants for that. It's not funded at any, well, the city of Toledo funds, they gave us funding, but it's not funded at the state or federal level. It's an integral service, but it's not funded at the state or federal level. We are one of 2 states in the country that does not fund it at the state level. So
what's the other one?
Illinois.
Okay, interesting.
I'm glad I remember that.
I mean, let's be clear, no one's going to fact check that. So you pick whatever state you want to blame.
Okay.
And they're
We're
right
big
there
in
with
Illinois,
us.
though, so they would have to. Can I ask you a question? The operator side of this, you must, whomever is picking up the phone, must have to have a really robust knowledge and awareness in people. They are triaging, essentially.
Yes.
And the person that is on the other end is probably under some distress.
Absolutely.
So tell me about these great people that man these phones
Yes, our 211 community resource advisors are the ones who answer the phones, and they are just some of the best humans I've ever met. And they are de-escalating daily.
Sure.
People who are getting into situations that there are less and less resources to deal with. So homelessness, food insecurity. There's new requirements on Medicaid and SNAP, and those are all, yes, and it is making life so complicated for a lot of our community members. So our community resource advisors are there to help to, take a breath with them, to walk them through what is happening and then what can help that situation.
We're talking with Sandra DeSteno and Aaron Tupper from United Way of Greater Toledo, talking about all things 211. I'm curious, when you talk about those, those community resource advisors, how do you train them on the next question, right? Because that was when I sat in on a call and you hear somebody say, oh, I need diapers for my baby.
Yes.
And it's like, well, okay, well, here's a resource to give you the diapers, but they're instantly diving into the, well, why can't you afford diapers?
Exactly, because if you can't afford diapers, there's probably other things that you can't afford, or why. And so that's the questions that we train them when we go through. They sit through 40 hours of training, and then they're on the phones, they're listening to our other community resource advisors. So it is about that. It's about probing questions. It's about diving deeper than just the ask, so that we can get into there and see, oh, you lost your job, or you had a car accident, or, and that is creating this domino effect of not being able to afford this, and then that takes from this. So it's just really about finding what's happening, seeing how much of that we can mitigate immediately and how much we can do longer term.
How many calls a year are you guys getting?
About 700. No. 70,000. The comma was in the wrong place in my head.
How big is the net that you cover? Is it regionalized? What is that?
16 counties in Northwest Ohio.
Holy cow.
So yeah, we are all over, and that really helps us to, Lucas County is very unique in how big it is and how, city it is. And our other counties are more rural, and, it really gives us a difference of what's that pulse of what's happening, not only in Lucas County, but all over Northwest Ohio. Really shows how people are struggling.
70,000 phone calls. What are most people calling for?
Housing assistance, whether that's rental assistance, finding a new place, deposit to move into some place. 40% of our calls have something to do with housing.
What's the mechanism for that information? Meaning, like, where does that go? If you're strategizing or reporting out on, these are the issues that we've been dealing with. Of the 70,000 calls, this is 40%. So that is, 30,000 calls.
Yeah.
So what do you then do with that information? Go to LMH or go to what's the next step?
So the city of Toledo provided money for 211 over from ARP dollars. After that, we started giving them a monthly report broken down by council district. So they
Interesting.
Know, so they know, and they really appreciate that information. We disseminate as much information as we can to make sure that the community understands. You can go on, there's 211 counts, and you can go and check out information on 211 counts.
Yep.
We are, we'll take requests for data just so people have that information. 211 counts goes along, there's a population above the federal poverty level that is still not making ends meet. It's called ALICE. It was coined by United Way of Northern New Jersey in 2009. ALICE is asset limited, income constrained, employed. And so those are people who are employed, they're just not making it. So there's a pretty big gap between the federal poverty level and where people can actually live.
That poverty level was just adjusted from the 30s not too long ago.
They haven't updated the calculation for the federal poverty level since the 60s. And it is very antiquated and puts a lot of people out of any opportunity to get support that really need support.
So we asked this question of Dr. Michael Brown, and this could potentially put you on the spot. So forgive me, it's not a live show, so we can just stuff. How do you put this down at the end of the day? How do you the operators, that is not what they're called, so forgive me, but how do you coach them to put things down? How do you go from call to call, and 70,000 feels like 70,000 on your backs?
It absolutely does. It's a very hard field right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of what we do is we talk about vicarious trauma. We talk about how
it's like being
to.
on this show.
I'm sure. We'll talk later. We've got some resources
I
for
think
you.
you can already tell.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Blink twice and we'll get you all the resources you need.
That's right. My safe word is Gretchen's terrifying.
Oh, poor
That doesn't sound like a safe word, though.
That doesn't.
Different Gretchen.
Different Gretchen. Absolutely.
Gretchen, are you okay?
No,
That's the question.
I'm tired of this abuse.
A rose between two thorns,
right.
indeed.
Don't do that.
I'm gonna call all day. Please go. Forgive me. This is important because there are people that are servicing people. And
Yes,
they've got their own
absolutely.
stuff too, and on top of this, so 70,000 calls. How do you coach your team? How do you stay okay? How does this work?
A really good sense of humor.
A really good sense of humor, yes. Really just making sure that everybody knows it's one call at a time. It is life-changing work, and we have to, go into every single one. Every single one is different. Making sure that our staff know that they can take time for themselves, that they have leadership that they can debrief with after particularly difficult calls, and more telling them to write those down, because we're using those calls to make sure that everybody knows that this is what's happening.
Have you ever had a really particularly heard from somebody that was a particular success story that used the references and the referrals that 211 made, and they end up calling you back and saying thank you? And can you talk about one of those things?
Yeah, they happen, and it is amazing. From getting somebody into a shelter.
Yeah.
I worked in our shelter services before I was director, and I still remember being able to place a couple that was pregnant on Christmas Eve.
Oh my gosh.
Several years ago, and it just feels like very,
Jesus and Mary.
yeah, very much like there's no
Mary
room at the
Joseph.
inn.
Right.
So they
familiar.
had to go to a homeless shelter. We hear from people who are first time and don't know how to get through it, and then they're like, thank you for empathy and kindness. And we hear from people who have been using the service for a long time and are just grateful that it's there and that they can access it when they need it.
That's
so
wonderful.
It is
Sandra
wonderful.
DeSteno and Aaron Tupper from United Way of Greater Toledo. All right, it's now time. Drum roll, please. It's now time for Gretchen's Wacky Quiz. I'm going to ask you 4 rapid fire questions. Gretchen's asking for your favorite thing in or about Toledo, and then Matt's going to walk you through describing Toledo in exactly 9 words.
Or
it's
4.5 for each of you.
Yeah, I don't think we've had 2 people at a time before, so this is going to really press the
rapid fire. Here we go. We got like 2 minutes.
Okay.
All right. If you worked at the zoo, what would you want to do?
Giraffe feeder. Not that I've thought about that at all.
Never thought about that.
Eugene.
He wasn't even finished asking.
That was good.
I would probably love to tell people about our amazing zoo.
Okay.
All right. If you were to invent something new, what would it be?
What if all our answers were giraffe feeder? It's like
Automated giraffe feeder.
No, because then I wouldn't be able to feed the giraffes anymore.
Yeah.
Ladders to feed the giraffes.
There you go.
Well, ladders exist.
Not giraffe
Don't tell her.
feeder.
Just build her up.
Yeah.
That seems like a very hard question to answer very quickly.
It's 4 o'clock in the morning. Just spit something out.
Something to make the world better. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like it. Favorite social media
Like a
app?
ladder.
Favorite social media?
I'm always opening Facebook. I don't know that it's my favorite, but it's my go-to.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff on there. You should read it.
Favorite to doom scroll? Yes.
Things are going great.
Yeah.
Fourth one.
What's one adventurous thing that you'd love to try?
Oh gosh. Traveling outside the country. I've never done that.
Okay.
Okay. Skydiving.
Nice, of course. What is your number one most favorite, or what you consider to be the best thing about the city of Toledo?
It's people.
Okay.
I am a big fan of all of the people. You can't do this work and not fall in love with the people.
All right, I heard you say Metro Parks. Thanks.
Aaron has the answer.
I think the heart of the city, there's so much positive going on, and people, when they come here and they stay after like 2 weeks because they see that it's
Everything.
so great.
Yeah.
Yep, it's
Okay,
so
great.
The heart.
All right.
And the Metro Parks.
Of course.
All right, 9 words. We can do it in tandem. I can write pretty fast. So 9 words to describe the city or region. I know that you're a little bit outside the city, but that's okay. We'll still take your answers as gospel. The people already said, so I'll put you there.
Yes.
Metro Parks you already said, so we're off to a hot start here.
Museum.
Museum, good.
Zoo.
Zoo.
Jeep.
Jeep, yes, good.
Mud hens.
Mud hens, 3 more.
Um,
All right, United Way.
United Way.
I'll give you 2 for that.
2-1-1.
Yeah, right.
2-1-1.
Nailed it.
Amazing.
Perfect.
Aaron, Sandra,
Good
thank
job.
you so much
Thank
for
you for
joining
being
us.
here. Thanks
Thank
Thanks
you
for
for
everything you
having
guys are
us,
doing. Obviously, if people need services from 211, they pick up the phone and they dial
211, or they
Yeah.
can visit our website at 211nwo.org.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, we'll be right back to wrap up this Wednesday edition of the 419.
You laughed with us. You learned with us.
Hi, neighbor.
We made sure your childhood was special. Memories that could only be provided by PBS. For generations, we've given you programs that made a difference. Programs that entertain, inform, and inspired. And today is no different. This is WGTE Public Media in Toledo. It's where you belong.
Introducing The Local Thread, a community news series uniting voices and storytellers from across the region. In partnership with La Prensa, the Toledo Free Press, the Sojourner's Truth, Toledo Public Schools, and Rethinking Jails and Justice. The Local Thread brings you stories and conversations that connect our community. Hear it weeknights at 7 on FM 91 with early access on podcast platforms each morning. The Local Thread, only on WGTE.
Welcome back into the 419 as we wrap up this Wednesday edition, a Wellness Wednesday presented by WorkSpring. Another exciting show. When we do 3 guests, I just feel like it flies by.
Yes, and we need more time with each of them.
I know.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was certainly true today.
I hope that the folks listening also think that they needed more time with us.
They're like, the show needs to be shorter in general.
I got real nervous when Dr. Michael Brown was talking about choices, and
Oh
I'm
boy,
like,
I got to reevaluate my whole life today. Well, every day, but
you know what? Go work on. I liked his
I do like
exercise, right? Of like, what's the one thing you want to like change or accomplish, and then you start writing down like, was it choices or circumstances?
I do actually do that exercise of looking at the next week on Fridays. Last thing I do before I leave my office on Friday is looking ahead, making sure everything's in the calendar. When do you have open time? When are you going to try to do this? But the key is sticking to it.
Sure. Yeah. No, I
Sticking to
don't
it.
mean that to be flippant.
No,
I get it.
Well, it's just like, hey, I need to go to bed at this time,
Right.
and how often, like even now with our schedule, how often do I push that back and say, no, let me do this one
I'll pay
more
for that
thing.
tomorrow.
That's right.
But also too, it is a choice. So these 2 things are all wedded, right? But
Yeah.
the choice to like, this is the only time away from all the noise of the day, is that, would you trade that for an hour's sleep? Maybe.
Yeah.
Thanks to Melanie Apple from WorkSpring for being on the program, as well as Dr. Michael Brown from DMB Coaching, and Sandra and Aaron from United Way, talking all things 211. If you missed any part of the show, 7 a.m. on YouTube, 3 p.m. on FM 91, and 6 p.m. on WGTE Connects Channel 30.4, 24/7 on the app and online. It's the 419, powered by WGTE and presented by Witro Wealth Management.
The 419, powered by WGTE, is made possible in part by supporters like you. Thank you.